Hi, everybody. It's Charles Harper, and I've got Steve Dougherty here, and you probably are familiar with some of his work. He's over at plrdirect.com. He is a veteran product creator. He's been in the game for a little while. Steve, good to have you.
Likewise, good to be here.
Man, I've been following your work for a little while, and we kind of came up together on the Warrior Forum. Maybe we didn't know each other directly. And the audience that's listening, I mean, some folks are just getting started in product creation, and so I know that you've kind of found your groove, and that's something that, it probably takes a while to do. I want you to go back to that very first thing that you did, right, and kind of talk about the idea, that you kind of came up with for your very first product, because what I want to do is to kind of bring everybody up to where you are now, but I'd like to start with where you started with that first one.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny because I've been doing that, going back to the first ones on a kind of regular basis here of late, just to see if a particular product, like for example, one of the first ones, as a matter of fact, was one on Amazon S3.
Yep.
And whenever I just recently did the new version of those videos, I was referring back to the old ones, and I got to tell you, within the first few seconds of listening to some of those old ones and watching those videos, I got a smile on my face because the quality was, to be kind, lacking. There's been some updates in my skill set, as well as technology as a whole, since then. But it just kind of started coming back to me. Wow, I did that then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, like, for example, back then I just wasn't that up on Amazon S3. So
Yep.
a lot of the, I had used it, but I hadn't used it for the years that I've been using it now. Now it's like secondhand. And actually, I found that was kind of an advantage to a degree, because the way that I was delivering it back then was as a novice.
Right.
The terminology, the lingo, it wasn't technical, if you will.
Yep.
I mean, I try to avoid that now, try to minimize the technical babble, if you will, so
Yep.
that people that are just starting out, or as I was back then, not familiar with the terminology, that I can still connect, that they would still understand what I'm trying to get across to them.
Right.
And
Yep.
that was one of the things that I tried to carry forward in the updates, and in the things that I'm doing now, as I was doing back then, was to try to approach the training, or try to approach the recording as a novice, so that, again, I can kind of connect with the people that are not familiar with what's going on, so it'll be easier for them to learn. So that's one of the main things that I tried to do back then, and that I'm still trying to do and catching myself, doing now,
Right.
is to try not to dive so deep into the
The marketers speak, huh?
Yeah, exactly. If I'm brand new to this, would I understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's one of the main things that I was trying to listen for in rehearsing, or going back and listening to some of these older videos. Well, that, and trying to up my game a bit, as far as the quality, and
Yeah.
but I think that I managed to accomplish that.
Now, you get into some technical stuff, right? Now, are you a technical guy by nature? Did you come up as a technical guy when you started internet marketing? Did you have this technical background? Is that why you gravitated toward this stuff?
Not at all. Not at all. I was in real estate for about 15 years, and that's where I got some of the marketing chops. But as far as the technology, no. I've had a cell phone for a couple of years, and I've probably called on it 5 times.
Okay.
So no. Yeah. So the technical end, I'm fascinated by it, and like a kid in a candy store kind of thing. Whenever I see something new coming out, technologically speaking, I'm all over it. Not because, just because I I like it, not because I know what's going on.
Right.
And that's how I'm able to, I think, effectively come across as a novice whenever I'm delivering it, because I am. You know,
Right.
I am being able to deliver that in the newbie speak, if you will, because I am myself a newbie a lot of times. Like with GIMP, for example, whenever that first came out, or whenever I first learned of it, it's kind of a Photoshop alternative, the open source version, if you will. And just like with the Amazon S3, I was brand new to it, but I was diving into it as a newbie and training or making my recordings in that light, you know, as a newbie. And if you're adept at GIMP or Amazon S3 and you're listening to that and you're, say, in an advanced mode already, you're probably listening to that and going, what the heck is this guy doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, he's getting the
But
point across, but that's not what that is. That's not how that's termed, you know. So, and that's fine. That's fine by me, because I'm not making those videos for the advanced individuals.
yeah, that is really awesome, because you would probably think, and when people get into this, they probably think, well, man, I've got to be an absolute expert in everything. And really, you approach this because you are new and you learned something, and you're basically teaching almost as you're learning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many times I'm not one that I can just create a set of videos in a few days, because a lot of times the topic that I'm creating those videos on is new to me, and I have to first learn it myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the training that I'm getting is off of an old YouTube video or some,
Right.
you know, long drawn out and boring PDF. So I have to kind of absorb that and put it to work, and then wait a minute, that didn't work properly, you know, and then go back and do it until I figure it out myself. You
Right.
know, kind of like, oh, how does this toaster work? I know, I'll take it apart and learn it that way. You know, and sometimes that's how I have to learn these things, is that I have to, you know, kind of break it down to its bare minimum, put it back together, and, oh, okay, that's how that works. Or, oh, okay,
Right.
that's how I can
Right.
get that to do that. And then at that point, I'm comfortable enough with it. I may not know all the proper terminology, which is fine, but I'm comfortable enough with it that I know how it works. And that's why you might see sometimes that, you know, I'll come up with this different way of doing something. It still works because, hey, you're seeing it happen right in front of you on the video.
Right. Right.
But again, if you're advanced and you already know all the ins and outs of that, you might go, wow, I didn't know you could do that with that. Because I
Yeah.
learned it from the bare minimum, from the bare bones, and I just, not formally educated, but hands-on, if you will.
Yeah, and it's still okay for you to teach it, right? And I think that's what's really, really cool about what you're talking about is, you know, you're really you're learning it. You approach it your way, and then you're teaching it, you know, to other people through video. Now, you kind of got into some of the process of creating a product a little bit, and that's what I want to dive into now. So you're a little more advanced now, obviously, than that first time you started. So now, let's say that you get an idea, you see something out there today, and you think, okay, well, this would make a good product. What's your process now? What are you gonna do next in order to actually produce and to get the product to market?
Well, let me back up just a second, because I'm constantly thinking of these ideas, and as I'm, you know, shooting through the web or researching on a particular topic, I come across something else. Well, I'll grab that information, whether it's a copy of the URL to the website or a
Yep.
YouTube video, or somebody selling something that maybe right now I'm working on WordPress, but I see somebody selling a beginner's guide on the Kindle. Well, I'll go ahead and buy that or copy that URL or save that YouTube video to a folder that I have on my desktop for video series ideas. So now that I'm building a vault of ideas. So whenever it comes time for me to create that series on Kindle, for example, then I'll go back to that particular folder and I'll open up the training that I had accumulated over the years, or some of it may even be outdated at this point, or some of the stuff that I saved on my Evernote, or the first thing I'll do is take an inventory of what I've gathered so far, because I figured I gathered it for a reason. There was something at that point or at that time that got my interest. So I'll go ahead and take an inventory of the information that I have at that moment and start to develop a draft. See how somebody else put their series of training together. What was their first video? What was their first chapter in their ebook? And I'll start to first develop a draft or a rough draft of how I'm going to start my video series. And then it'll start to fall into place. So then I'll go to, once I've got something on a text document, as far as video 1, video 2, and so on, then I'll start doing further research, whether it's YouTube or just whatever. I mean, I've got like a master's in Google and a major in Bing, you know. So I've got the research part pretty well down pat. So I'll start doing the research, and the draft will start to take place as far as the number of videos, the title of the videos, and then I'll start making notes on each one of those videos, potential videos. And over a course of a week or so, that draft will start to become more solid. And once I've got a good idea as to the number of videos I'm going to start off with, because at the point of releasing the series, there might be, say, 10 videos. Within 6 months, there might end up being 20 videos. But at the very beginning, I'll have enough to put on the market that I think will be worthwhile to sell.
Yep.
And so rough draft, number of videos, make notes on each video, and at the point of recording, I don't necessarily have a script, but I've got kind of bullet points.
Yep.
So that way it comes across as a more, I guess, personalized.
Organic. Organic.
That's the one. Yeah, organic.
So now, I've noticed that you've kind of moved, or you've kind of branched out from just launching, let's say, on JVZoo or Warrior Plus, and now you're starting to do some things on Udemy. So now, how do you find that platform? Do you find that platform to be is it better in some ways? Is it? I know it's different, definitely, but what do you find as some of the advantages of being on Udemy versus, let's say, launching on JVZoo or Warrior Plus?
Well, probably the biggest advantage is I don't have to do anything after. Well, you should, but I don't have to do anything after I've launched it on Udemy. I would do much better if I did market it, but I've got 2 video series on there now, and aside from me responding to customer questions, I have not promoted any of those. I've not done anything. They do all that. They've got their millions of they spend their money on generating traffic to the site.
Yep.
And God bless them for that, because I've done quite well. And frankly, I keep thinking that I'm kind of silly not to do more with Udemy. I mean, it's something that kind of a set it and forget it. Now, that's not the case, I'm sure, with everybody. But the products that I have on there now I'm not competing with a lot of other people, because, for example, the Amazon S3 series that I have on there, that's the only one on there.
Yep.
So if you type into Google Amazon S3 training, my Udemy course is going to be probably in the first 3 or 4 results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that's good. So now, would you recommend? So somebody's new to product creation, and again, when you come to this, maybe you start out in the Warrior Forum, then you see some people on ClickBank, you see some people on JVZoo, and so you think that's kind of the universe of things. If somebody's new to creating products, would you tell them that they need to branch into Udemy as they get started, or would you recommend that they kind of get started, get their chops on Zoo and Warrior Plus first, and then kind of graduate to Udemy?
Well, I would say, yeah, I would kind of hold off on the Udemy only because if it's your first time out, there's a good chance that you're going to get discouraged. I mean, I say it only because a lot of times you will be competing with a lot of other people, especially, for example, with WordPress. There's a ton of WordPress courses on there. So you're going to be competing. And Udemy has a tendency here of late to be changing the playing field for you.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
They tend to, oh, well, let's try this time. And, and it kind of changed the search engine optimization, if you will, of the Udemy universe, because whenever you set your course up for a particular keywords, if you will, and you start to rank just fine, maybe on the first 10 or 15 results that pop up whenever somebody types in that for Udemy, then for some odd reason they'll do some change, and then only the free courses will show up on the first page.
Yeah,
I think they've changed that a little bit, but anyway, if I think that if you are just starting off, you should do something on Warrior Plus, and you will. I say Warrior Plus or the Warrior Forum because if you do it on the forum itself, you're going to get feedback. Not all of it's going to be great either.
Yes.
But you're going to get feedback right then.
Yes.
And even with the bad feedback, take it as a learning experience, not as a personal critique. I mean, take it as a learning experience. But always respond. Always stay on top of it. Don't just blow it off. And that's how you're going to learn. And once you kind of toughen your skin a bit by that, then go ahead and get more closer into the Udemy, because I think you should use the Udemy platform as a goal to go towards. Because for some odd reason, I'm thinking, online education is the future. I mean, that's where it's going to be.
Right. It is.
So yeah, I would definitely use the Udemy platform, but I probably wouldn't start off there.
Yeah.
And if you do decide to start off on Udemy, just be prepared that it's not going to, be instantaneous.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you've probably been successful at doing at this point now is that, would you say that it's because you kind of been there, you're a fixture, that affiliates find you reliable, or were you actively involved once you started creating products on a regular basis? Were you kind of active in going to talk to people and trying to get to know them and networking to get affiliates on board with some of your products?
No, I really should be, but this is going to be a case of do as I say, not as I do kind of thing.
Right, most things are.
Because you really should be out there and networking to maximize your exposure so that these affiliates will find you and you hunt them down and reciprocate. I mean, but no, I should do more of it, but no, unfortunately, I don't. And thank goodness they see as my customers, because a lot of the affiliates that promote for me have at one point or another been a customer of mine. And I guess just the quality or the way that I customer service them during a particular instance that they might have had, or a combination of my customer service, which I hold way up there, whether it's a combination of the customer service and the quality of the products, that they figure, hey, this is going to be something good for my subscribers. Kudos to me then, because then they'll turn around and promote my products.
Yeah, no, that's good. So now we've got something, depending on folks who are going to be listening to this, and I don't know when you're finding this, everybody, but if you're listening to this, I'd say around about March of 2016, Steve's got something new, and I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
And Steve, tell us a little bit about WordPress to Facebook.
Well, actually, that's something that I first come about with 2011, I guess, or so. Back then, things were kind of fluid with Facebook, and since then, it's like Facebook has changed completely, the way they have things set up. So I just released a brand new series of videos on how to set up a WordPress site so that you could actually install it on a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool myself. Of course, I'm a little biased, but you you have to have a SSL certificate or an HTTPS URL before you're able to do this. So that's one of the things that I cover in the series is how to get a free SSL on your WordPress site and how to solve potential problems that you may encounter when doing that. And these are problems that I encountered, and whenever I did my research, I found that others did the same thing. Right. So that's one of the things I wanted to accomplish in part of these videos was to not just how to get the SSL, but how to solve those potential problems if they happen to you, and how to create the Facebook application to pull your WordPress site into the page. Now, there are third-party applications that you can use. I think one of them is called WooBox. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. But I remember back whenever I did this series originally, back in 2011, I did use a third-party application for that, and they went out of business. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to deliver a way in which you could do this without using a third-party service. You go right into the Facebook developers program and create it from scratch. And that way, if anything happens, that means that Facebook's gone, and then, hey, you got other problems to deal with. That's one of the other things that I accomplished in this video series was how to create the Facebook application from scratch, avoiding any third-party applications, and how to set up, basically how to set up your Facebook page and basically how to prepare your WordPress site to be able to fit into the actual size, the 810 pixel width of the Facebook page.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, everybody, I've actually got a series of bonuses I'm going to be adding. If you want to go on over to my site, it's superfastactionbonus.com/WPPLR. You'll see my bonuses, and then you'll see also Steve's course over there. Now, if you've come and it's after March of 2016, I've got a page set up just for Steve and all the stuff that he's got available. And as he said, he really does, and I can vouch for the fact that his stuff is of high quality. And so I put a page over at the plrshow.com/Steve. And so if you come after, March of 2016, and you're just picking this up and you're listening to this, head on over there, because I think your stuff, Steve, if correct me if I'm wrong, at least I found it to be the case, is fairly evergreen, right? Because the stuff that you put together, again, you're kind of teaching from the perspective, and what I really like about what you're doing is you're teaching from the perspective of somebody who's coming to this, doesn't have the techno speak, and you're coming to this kind of new.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say that you're right. I do try to get it from the beginners or the novices frame of mind so that you can easily grasp it and put it into action immediately, especially if you're brand new to this. And to speak about the evergreen part, yes. And if it, for some reason like WordPress, which tends to not be so evergreen, they want to update things on a regular basis, I update those as well. So whenever you get a hold of it, it's going to be up to date.
Right on, then. Well, Steve, it's been really good kind of getting to know you a little bit and trying to see, some of the things that you're doing. You've been really helpful to the folks who have been listening. And again, the thing that I like more than anything that you have said is that you just approach this. You didn't come to this kind of as this super technical expert guru, as you said, I mean, you've been doing real estate, but you took a look at what you knew, and you took that and you put that into product form. And I think, people can kind of leverage your courage, right? You mean, you just got out there and then you did it. And it's something that I think, more people can do if they kind of take some of the steps that you did.
Right. I think it's a little bit of knowledge, but a lot of heart and desire to help people. That's the main ingredients that you should have.
Right on. Well, everybody, this is Charles Harper, and I've been with Steve Dougherty. And again, I want you to go over to the plrshow.com/Steve, and you'll see some of the things that Steve has available over there. And again, if it's prior to April of 2016, head on over to superfastactionbonus.com/WPPLR, and then you'll see Steve's WordPress to Facebook product. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.